The presence of electricity is more important than its absence. In Tata Power in 2015, we had just 14% of our installed capacity, which was non-carbon. Today, we are at 42% of non-carbon.
42?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And by 2030, we'll become 70%. We strongly believe that clean energy is the way forward. We have a net zero target of 2045. There is no tax on solar. There is no tax on wind.
Yes.
So, and there will be no transportation charge in solar or wind. So, your cost of clean energy, renewable energy will remain constant for 25 years.
When we look at transitioning from conventional energy to renewable energy, is it really people-centric?
I think this is a phase where a lot of disruption will happen, but also a lot of innovation will happen. And I think people who are working in this area are interested. This is the place to be, and whatever we'll do will be game changers to that extent, and you can really make a difference in the lives of people.
What powers your house, your car, your mobile today is basically a part of a silent revolution. India is transitioning its electricity sector in a big way. And at the center of this transition is this one company which have been there for over centuries, called the Tata Power. What kind of future we are looking at, and what is really people-centric evolution that is happening in the sector called electricity. I'm your host Vaibhav Chaudhary, and please welcome Dr. Praveer Sinha of Tata Power. Welcome, Dr. Sinha.
Thank you, Vaibhav, and such a pleasure to be part of this program. Thank you to Ashoka University for this initiative, and really appreciate the work that all of you are doing to encourage people to understand how the power sector has evolved, and especially when we are talking of global changes and the energy transition that is happening. So, such an honor and pleasure to be part of this.
Likewise, sir. I'm also a student of electricity, as you know, and your friend and a mentor. And we have been reading and following your work for quite some time. And it's been a personal pleasure as well to have this discussion with you. Now, just to start with, sir, see, energy sector, energy transition is such a heavy word. It has many meanings in many different contours. It includes fossil fuel, oil, gas, coal, and so on, and has a demand side of story as well. So when we talk about this whole energy transition, maybe in the global context and specifically in the Indian context, what is the role of electricity in that?
So, electricity is the driver of all the change that is happening globally. And electricity is something which is used by everyone. They are used in cities, they are used in villages, they are used by industries, they are used by commercial establishments, and they are used in homes. So, the presence of electricity is more important than its absence. So, I think we have also seen in our country that electricity plays a very, very critical role. And I'll share with you that during COVID, many people from cities went back to the villages. And we started working in few villages in UP and Bihar, which did not have a regular supply of electricity, and especially not for the commercial and industrial activity. And when the access happened in those villages through the microgrids, many of the people stayed back because they had an alternate avenue to earn money. And it brought about actually a socio-economic change, because everyone needs a atta chakki, a flour mill in the village, or oil expeller, or even for agriculture purpose, you need to require electricity for using pumping of water. And when we talk of electricity, we also need to understand affordability. So it has to be affordable electricity and not just electricity at any cost.
I mean, you have raised like really sort of an interesting point here, sir. So, you know, if you think electricity is such an important subject for improving the life and livelihood of an individual, then, you know, why can't we then think of providing it as a basic service for free for everybody. Like, government of India is providing healthcare facility almost for free, at least for those who can't pay. For education, you see there are government facilities, government schools, colleges. If electricity is something which is so essential for development, for empowerment, for life, for livelihood, then I think it should be provided for free.
I think the user service charges should be charged for everything. If you
Yeah.
want quality healthcare, if you want quality education, you want quality electricity,
Yeah.
there is a price. Otherwise, if anything is given free of cost, the quality will start deteriorating and the service that is offered will not be commiserating with what is the expectation. So it's very important that user pays the user fees,
Yeah.
and but yes, it has to be moderated to an extent that they can afford to pay that, and it should
Yeah.
not be very high. But any public service, any public utility, if they do not get money
Yeah.
for the service that they are providing, then they will never be able to put money in technology and improve the quality of service that they provide to the people.
Absolutely. I'll come back on the technology question in a bit, but I think you see countries now looking at some of these so-called Atmanirbhar solutions.
Yes.
Probably these self-sustainable models, maybe like DRE models or even rooftop models or something likes uh, in this category, um, could be a potential Atmanirbhar model when we talk about electricity. So, what is Tata's vision for supporting or co-creating or designing some of these self-sustainable, maybe off-grid kind of a models?
So we run a very ambitious program. We have the largest number of microgrids in the country, more than 200 odd. And these are in villages, these are off-grid, and they supply to all types of consumers. They are industrial and commercial as well as residential consumers. And many people in the villages use this electricity because they find that it is more reliable and consistent than what is being supplied by the service provider, which is the utility over there. And we find that wherever we have supplied, we also work very closely with the people over there to create the right ecosystem, in the sense that we support them in,
Capacity building
yeah,
and
in terms of
yeah.
capacity building. And we have seen that it has provided a lot of economic activity, a lot of opportunity, employment, and self employment opportunities to people. Also, what we are seeing is that one of the big change that has happened in the way electricity is produced is the decentralization of electricity
Yeah.
that has happened. So you have the ability now to produce, consume yourself, and also give it outside. So a new word has been coined, which is known as prosumers. So you are not only just a consumer, but you are a producer and a consumer. And to that extent, you are virtually now becoming self-sufficient. And I find that this has become a very, very good model in various places. Some time back, I had gone to Rajasthan, and people over there were talking about, and there are few places that we visited,
Yeah.
that now we produce our own electricity. We use it for charging our electric vehicle, so there is no question of
Potential to double farmers' income in
yeah.
some sense as well, right? I mean,
Absolutely. And I think the biggest change that we have seen is the democratization of electricity,
Yeah.
or socialization of electricity that has happened.
Got it. Sir, I mean, so country has this 2070s net zero agenda. Now, over the last almost like a decade, Tata has been consistently looking at promoting RE, reducing the portfolio of coal and maybe growing into other areas, innovative areas as well. So, what do you think are the structural sort of issues which are still there, which needs to be addressed in order to achieve net zero? I mean, so countries net zero is essentially what? It's essentially all these bigger companies net zero plans in a way, essentially cities or states net zero plans in a way, right? And Tata, I believe, is at the epicenter of many of these dialogues. So what are the key challenges you think are still sort of prevailing in the sector, which needs to be addressed in order to achieve that net zero vision?
Yeah. So I think it's important to understand the whole question in the right perspective. What we are seeing is that there is a huge shift in the way the renewable energy capacity has got
Coming
added.
on, yeah.
Similarly, in Tata Power in 2015, we had just 14% of our installed capacity, which was non-carbon. Today, we are at 42% of non-carbon.
42.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
And by 2030 will become 70%. So all our new capacity additions which are happening, at least in last 5 years, is in the clean energy. It is in solar, it is in wind. We are now adding capacity in pumped hydro, we are adding capacity in hydro. So we are very focused that as a company which has been more than 100 years old, 110 years,
Yeah.
we have completed this year. It's very important for us to show leadership in thought and leadership in action.
Yeah.
And we strongly believe that clean energy is the way forward. There is an energy transition roadmap. It is not that this will happen in just 1 year or 2 year or 5 year. We have a net zero uh, target of 2045.
For the entire Tata Power.
Yes, entire Tata Power. So that means that I will decommission all the coal-based plants.
I think discussions and buzz in the corridors about these emerging new technologies around whether it is nuclear, SMRs, Bharat's small reactors, or even with regard to the BESS and all of that. How bullish are you with regard to some of these emerging, evolving technologies? Are you also exploring green hydrogen, sort of electrolyzers, facilities, and so on?
So what we have to see is whether the new change, the transition that we are talking of, is again, is it cost competitive, is it scalable, and will it, in a long terms, provide you reliable and resilient supply of electricity? And when we look at some of the solutions, and today solar is present everywhere or wind is present, because one is that it's easier to implement, but also that it has become very affordable. The cost of generation of power from solar is less than 3 rupees. Cost of setting up wind is less than 5. And when you combine all of them, bundle solar and wind, because they are in different hours of the day and different periods of the year, and combine it with battery storage, which again the cost has come down drastically, you can possibly get.
No, this
power.
is a $1 million question.
Yeah.
I mean, you've really picked up something which I was so keen to ask you, because hearing from this from horse's mouth will be such an amazing thing. So there are a lot of discussions which are still in a way open-ended, wherein people talk about what exactly is the cost implication of thermal capacity addition vis-a-vis non-thermal renewable capacity addition. And this could be a combination of just solar, or maybe with solar and wind, with solar and wind and battery, with 2 hour, 4 hour, 6 hour, 8 hour kind of backup, the RTC, and so on. So what is your take on that?
So we need to look at it a little differently and not just get carried away by one-to-one comparison. Today, during the daytime, you have a lot of solar that is operating, and these are must run.
Yeah.
And these plants are less than 3 rupees. So during the period when solar is running, your coal-based plants run very much less. The data in last 1 year is that the PLF of coal-based plants, which used to be 65 to 70%, has now come down to less than 60%. So that means effectively you are not running these plants during these periods. They are either shut down or running at a minimum capacity, technical capacity. The similar is the case when the wind plants are operating. And the wind is typically in the evening and in the late night. So during those periods also, the running of these coal-based plants comes down. Now, during those periods, can we have alternate? And we have alternate. We have battery storage. Battery storage is for 2 hours, 4 hours. Today, we have very small capacity, but it is expected that by 2032, we'll have nearly 40 gigawatt of battery storage. We are now setting up pump storage. Pump storage are for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. So for the periods that you do not have solar or wind, you can have battery storage, you can have pump storage. Now, the question will also come that freak weather conditions can happen, and there's virtually no wind and cloudy days and
Yeah,
solar. Of course, when freak weather happens, your consumption of electricity also, because in India, maximum consumption is for the air conditioning purpose, cooling purpose. So your consumption also reduces drastically. But even if we have to have a large consumption, whether it is in industrial or commercial establishment, how do you cater to that? And that is where I think we need to bring in the aspect that it's not only a reliability of supply, but a resilience of supply, and you need to have a backup. Now, the backup is, of course, coal. Backup is, of course,
maybe
gas,
nuclear
gas,
tomorrow, but today
and
coal. Yeah.
backup will be nuclear tomorrow. And today we have seen that the way nuclear was being looked in last 10 years, not many plants came up, in fact, but there is now a renaissance in nuclear power. And there is a lot of work, technology that is going in to how to make it more reliable and more safe for people to use. And also now they are coming up with concepts of
So you're
small.
saying that this is not accurate to sort of think of comparing the pricing point, especially
Yeah.
like apple to apple. We really can't say whether a unit coming from a thermal power in a system feeding in somewhere in India, and India is like European Union, it's such a huge country. Probably every discom will have different ways of treating the same electricity. And then compare it with a RTC kind of a contract, which has different hybrid ways of sort of designing the contract. So it's very, for every unique case or unique circumstances, depending on where the utility is, what kind of consumer we're talking about, what kind of solution every model is different. Is that what you're saying? Or
Not really. So today we don't have that solution. So today, if you say that 24/7, can we have a very reliable and a robust supply of electricity through a combination of solar, wind, and battery storage?
Okay,
But I think going forward, and I expect that we are ourselves working on it, pumped hydro and some of the other solutions that we are working on. We will possibly by 2030 have a solution of providing, if not 100%, at least 90-95% of your requirement. And when I say 90-95%, that means every 24 hours in 15-minute slots. So in 96 slots, I will give you 90% or 95% of clean energy.
will people be okay to pay extra, according to you, if you tell them that I am making and I'm providing, like, say, 90% of cleaner electricity to your home? Do you think, based on an experience of, I believe, over 4 decades now, do you think will people be okay to pay extra for that cleaner interventions and the packages and the innovations that you're building in the system?
So I flip the question and say, I'll give you power at a lower cost than coal-based plant in 2030.
We would love to pick.
So we'll give you. So I think the unique thing about clean energy and renewable energy is that unlike coal or gas, where the prices fluctuate and it only goes up most of the time, in solar and wind, prices will not go up. There is no tax on solar. There is no tax on wind. So, and there will be no transportation charge in solar or wind. So your cost of clean energy, renewable energy, will remain constant for 25 years.
You see, the other side of the story is about energy efficiency, the demand side related interventions, and so on and so forth. And for example, a unit saved at a tail end probably will avoid generating maybe 2.5 unit at the generating end. But still, India is not doing enough on the energy demand side management. Look at, they have 7 or 6 ministries looking at the supply side, and you only have one Bureau of Energy Efficiency, which is parked within the power ministry, I think, looking at the demand side for the country. So, what do you think more needs to happen? Are there specific some behavioral nudges that you think needs to really happen to as you said, no, to build the capacity to engage people? Maybe they can be a little more evolved to start saving more, or maybe avoid using IC engine and maybe use bicycle. How can they become a little more aware humans, aware people, aware individuals?
So then there are two parts of it. One is the demand side management,
Yeah.
whereby you use more efficient equipments, more efficient air conditioners, more efficient refrigerators, more efficient fans and lights. Fortunately, with LED bulbs, the consumption of electricity has come down. Earlier, it used to be 40-watt bulb and a 60-watt and a 100-watt and 1,000-watt of halogen lamp and all that. Today, LED consumes 7, 9, and 12 watt. So similarly, the fans earlier used to be 80-watt fans. The high efficiencies are 50-watt. We've designed fans in for a microgrid customers which are 25 watts. So you can design today's equipments which are more efficient, and you need not have inefficiency in the equipments. The secondly is the usage pattern. You don't have to always keep on many things which you can, if you are not using it, can switch off. So that's a behavior part of it and a habit part of it. The third thing that has happened, and that is because of the technology intervention, is known as the demand response. So what you can do is there are certain hours when you have peak requirement of power. And typically, like in many of the cities, afternoon you will have peak requirement, especially in summer months where everyone has switched on their air conditioner. So between 1 and 4, you will have a lot of places in cities where people will be using air conditioners to full because offices are there. Everywhere people will be using maximum, and it's very hot outside. People in homes would be using it. Now, during that period, can you switch off some of your non-critical loads? And we did this experiment. We did the experiment with
Through
metros.
smarter contracts?
Yeah, through smarter contracts and give some financial incentives. And again, this is a new concept because one of the things that we are seeing is the grid is becoming much smarter. Digital technology is playing a very important role, and you have the ability on real-time basis to manage your load consumption. So many of the solutions today we have implemented. We've done it on pilot basis in Delhi and Mumbai. And I do feel that we have a opportunity to at least reduce the peak requirement by about 5% in these places. So 5% of peaking requirement is a huge. Just to give you an idea, India has about 250 gigawatt of peak. So if we reduce 5, that means nearly 12.5 gigawatt of peak
That's
can
huge.
come down, which is a very, very huge saving that can happen.
Absolutely.
And it's just that you're not using at that time, and you are shifting that load during
Off-peak
periods
hours.
to off-peak hours.
And kind of win-win for everybody.
So,
the consumer wins, the company
absolutely.
wins because they save a lot of money through the lesser bills that they get home. Company, I believe, is going to shift this energy unit saved to cater other category of consumer that are requiring more
Absolutely.
electricity.
And also optimize utilization. Just to give you an example, in office, you go to the BKC in Mumbai or any other area in Delhi where you have large number of offices. You have huge energy consumption during daytime, but they have less of energy consumption in the night time because the number of people in the office is less. So you don't need air conditioning 24/7. You don't have a flat load. You have a load where you have certain peaking, and then you have very little of load. So it's a famine and feast in energy.
When we look at transitioning from conventional energy to renewable energy, is it really people centric? And when I say people centric, looking at maybe one unit from, or maybe 1 megawatt, so for example from thermal power plant, vis-a-vis 1 megawatt equivalent from a solar plant. Does this new capacity addition of 1 megawatt equivalent will lead to more or less jobs in the economy? Economy wide, do you see the transition will lead to job losses or no?
So, uh, what will happen is, first of all, renewable energy, the capacity that needs to be added is nearly 3 to 4 times the capacity for coal, because the
Yeah,
PLF of these are less. So
precisely.
that
Yeah.
means that much more
Yeah.
generation plants have to be set up, that much more transmission has to be done, that much more. So it will create lot of employment opportunity in a very
Fair
different
point.
area.
Yeah.
And to that extent, it is not that there will be loss of job, but yes, there has to be retraining of jobs that have, and people have to be ready for that retraining. And I'll give you one simple example, that when I was running the Delhi distribution,
Yeah.
we used to have our grid stations, which are the typical 33 and 11 kV, and you have people who do manually switching on and off of breakers and maintaining the breakers and all that. And every shift there would be three people, and there would be three shift and a backup and stuff like that. And we had at that time about 60 grids. And then we automated, we did the SCADA system and
Yeah.
distribution automation. And you didn't need any of those people, because there was a control room where there were two people per shift who would carry out that work. So what do you do with them? So we retrained them, because they were people who knew that job, who knew that area. We trained them into GIS, which was very necessary when you do the smart metering and all.
Yeah.
And so you have to retrain them. So it's not that it is going to take away the jobs, but it will definitely require people have to be retrained and reskilled. And today we are doing that. We
Yeah.
have set up large number of skill development institutes. We've got the certification. That means our institutes can give certificate
Oh,
for which,
Tata owned and
yeah,
supported.
these are Tata Power Skill Development Institute.
Oh, okay.
And we have been authorized by both MNRE as well as the Skill Development Council,
Council. Okay.
because the curriculum and the program that we run meets the requirement of the independent certification.
Yeah.
So we provide that, and we find that a new set of job skills are coming in the market. So if you have to do rooftop,
Yeah.
and we know that we are talking of 1 crore homes. So that means you need that many people.
Yeah.
And these are right across the country. They are in Northeast also, they are in Central India, and they are in South and West of India also. And they have to maintain these rooftop, they have to install these rooftop, they need to manage the whole ecosystem of taking care of these operations of these rooftop. So I think the new skill sets which are coming, people have to change. But it is not that it will take away job, but a new set of jobs will come, and that is what is going to replace the people who are doing the existing type of jobs.
On that note, I think we'll end this episode now. I'm conscious of our time, but a big thanks to you for speaking with us. And any last word for our audience you want to say, based on the kind of you've seen, or at least the Tatas have seen in the last 100 years, 110 years, how the whole system has evolved. What is this maybe one thing probably that you see in the next 20, 30 years that you see is kind of the writing on the wall that is coming up?
So I think I've been a student of power sector for last 4 decades. The type of technology changes that is happening, in whether it is in terms of digital technology, or it is in the manufacturing technology, or any new products and solutions, we had not seen that earlier. This is the best 20, 30 years that our country will see in terms of the energy transition. We are fortunate that we did not have too much of the conventional energy. Whatever we have, we can now move and add new energy technologies. And I think this is a phase where a lot of disruption will happen, but also a lot of innovation will happen. And I think people who are working in this area are interested, this is the place to be. And whatever we'll do will be game changers to that extent, and you can really make a difference in the lives of people.
Awesome. On that positive note, a big thanks to you once again, Dr. Sinha. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks a lot. Please like and subscribe the Energy Transition Dialogue. I'm your host, Vaibhav Chaudhary, signing off.